Gonna start the show after the next song. We'll be going live soon.
Welcome to the Tea Party with Marty Abernathy, a show by an ultra-feminine, meek, shy, totally unopinionated trans woman that seeks to listen to both sides and does not make fun of TERFs. You've listened to the show, right? You still want me to say this? Okay. Here's your host, Marty Abernathy.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the Tea Party. This Wednesday edition of the Tea Party. We've got some amazing stuff coming up in the show. The funniest bit, I think, is Joe Rogan saying that white men are going to be silenced. But whatever. I did want to play some voices from the Palestinian conflict. By the way, if you want to help us, you can go to teapartypodcast.com. Actually, your biggest thing is go over to TikTok. Subscribe to my TikTok channel. It's Marty Abernathy. MartiAbernathy. That's the biggest thing you can do to help me right now. I'd like to get to 1,000 viewers, subscribers. Then we can do lives on TikTok, and I can broadcast part of the show from there. But yeah, so tonight, there's a few voices that are coming out to support Palestinians, and I wanted to play a couple clips from a few of those people. I want to put that back on that side, so we'll go over to the green screen. Actually, we'll go over to the VLC player. And my playlist isn't coming up. There we go.
I want to express my solidarity with Palestinian people. After decades of oppression against Palestinians, we cannot deny the asymmetry of power and the brutality. From Israeli airstrikes on women and children in Gaza to stun grenades targeting worshippers in Al-Aqsa. Forced displacements, arrests, beatings, and killings are a crime against humanity. People around the world, including Muslims, Christians, and Jews, are calling on leaders to protect Palestinians' human rights. I especially call on for children's safety. A Palestinian child should be sitting in a classroom, not in rubble. World leaders must act immediately.
It's good to see different people speaking out, but especially someone that is so universally respected. When it comes to violence, she's been she's been the focus of a lot of it, or she was violently attacked. Her speaking out is pretty powerful. What I also thought was pretty powerful too was Angela Davis, and this is what she had to say.
I join the many individuals and organizations around the world in expressing grief and anger and protest in light of the acceleration of violence by the Israeli government and the settlers they protect in Sheikh Jarrah. We protest the storming of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the extensive and brutal bombing of Gaza. And we call attention to and protest the Biden-Harris administration's collusion with the Israeli government, even as the Biden government participated in the celebration of Eid. And at a time when Palestinians the world over have been commemorating the Nakba. People all over the US and indeed throughout the world expressed their outrage when George Floyd's and Breonna Taylor's lives were extinguished by racist police violence. We know that shortly after these murders occurred, Ahmad Erekat was shot down on his sister's wedding day at a checkpoint between Bethlehem and Abu Dis outside of occupied East Jerusalem. This was clearly a state-sanctioned execution that we now recognize as a harbinger of the current violent assaults on Palestinians in East Jerusalem and Gaza, where over 100 people, including children, have already been killed. This is unconscionable. In 2011, I had the opportunity to visit Sheikh Jarrah with a delegation of indigenous and women of color activists, scholars, and artists. We talked with a Palestinian family who had been evicted from their home where they had lived for many decades. Jewish settlers had moved into the main rooms of their house, and they, the rightful owners, were relegated to a small area in the back of the house. Progressive Jews were conducting demonstrations every week to protest the eviction of Palestinians from their homes. What we witnessed 10 years ago is now happening on a much larger and more threatening scale. We should now understand that as these evictions continue, they prove that Israeli settler colonialism will only be halted when people all over the world demand that the rights of the Palestinian people in occupied Palestine be respected. Here in the US, we must make our demands for justice in Palestine resonate as powerfully as our demands for an end to racist police violence. Stop the evictions, stop the demolitions, stop the bombing, and in the occupation, justice for Palestine.
And that was from Angela Davis. Leto was in the chat. Hello, welcome, Leto. I just realized something, but I poo-pooed. I made a mistake. No, I didn't. Thank God. Anyways. Oh dear. I got distracted for a minute because I thought, oh God, I made a mistake in the title. Anyways. I thought that was a pretty powerful statement from Angela Davis. But things are really despicable. A lot more despicable than I thought. This has been what's going on today.
And here in Sheikh Jarrah, about an hour ago, we saw something which happens a lot too at the moment. That is a water cannon, but it's not of the type that you might see in Europe or America, because it's got skunk water in, which has a rancid smell, takes days to get off your skin.
Literally, how is this not torture? How is this not torture? Anyways.
And what it does is they spray it ostensibly for crowd control. But I can tell you, because I was here and I saw it with my eyes, they were not controlling a crowd that needed to be controlled. They were controlling a small group of youngsters who posed no threat to them, and yet they fired the water cannon into a Palestinian community and all over Palestinian houses. The Palestinians and human rights groups say this is effectively a form of collective punishment. And lastly, down at the Damascus Gate a little bit earlier on, as part of this mass movement of Palestinians expressing their views, a group of Palestinians were walking out of the Damascus Gate of the old city and up the steps there, and then without any warning, the Israeli police threw stun grenades and everyone fled. Again, unnecessary crowd control. We've put this to the Israeli police. We've asked them why they're doing this sort of thing.
I think people act like how I can't believe they're doing this. I think this is actually the point. It's just simply intimidation. They're doing it to be dicks.
And they say where they make mistakes, they investigate. But, you know, I've worked here for quite some time, and I can tell you that when you ask the Israelis for investigation, they say they're doing one, but you never actually get the results. Those are the facts. That's what's happening here on the ground. We do ask the Israelis for a response. They say they'll give it. Often it doesn't come.
Shocking. Totally shocking. And this is somebody from Sky News. You know, this is mainstream press, and they're saying what most people in the press won't say out loud. They'll basically blow you off and say, "Oh, we'll take a look into it," and then they never do. So, anyways, here is a question that I thought was really needs to be asked. When these soldiers do things like this, how do you understand it? And I found this interview with some former Israeli soldiers
within Israeli society, and when I saw it through my view from the operations room was time and again how acts of violence against Palestinians are just under rug swept and covered up by the military that doesn't enforce the law on violent settlers.
So the fact that you're occupying Palestinian territory, that's the root of the problem.
There cannot be an occupation that will be moral or that will conduct itself in a good way. It's the problem is inherent in the mission, and the mission is occupying people without them having rights and dignity, and without them choosing to be under this control.
You've witnessed abuses then, or you've witnessed things you're unhappy with. Have you been a part of that yourself and that you reflected on afterwards?
I've gotten orders and given orders to my own soldiers that I later regretted. I'll give you an example of something very systematic. There were a couple of times where my commanders gave us a box of flashbang grenades, and they just told us to start throwing them out of the driving car. When I asked why, they told us to make the Palestinians understand who owns this place.
Did you feel that that the officers and the Israeli army were asking you to do something that you obviously felt really uncomfortable with, but you were not in a position to say no when you was in the army?
I think that for the most cases, I did feel comfortable with what I was doing, and that's because I was convinced that it was for the security of Israel. And what we do in Breaking the Silence is ask questions far beyond just security, like what is the moral price for that security? Is that the kind of security we want to live with as a society? Now, I know that isn't what I want my society to be doing, and I know that the occupation isn't justified in any moral terms. So from my own experiences, I know that this occupation needs to end. I know that it has nothing to do with the morality we expect from ourselves.
Finally, is that likely to happen, the occupation ends? Because from the outside, at least, and when you listen to Palestinians, they feel that the politics and society in Israel is becoming more and more right-wing.
Inevitably, it will end because, like all other, oppressive regimes and undemocratic regimes, they fail to sustain, be sustainable. And
So I think that gives you an idea. That's somebody that's literally talking to you like from inside the IDF. So, I mean, I thought that was really interesting to see and to hear people talk about. And this person asks,
how many more people need to die in Gaza before we actually start taking some action, before we actually start calling for sanctions on Israel? Your government, with your taxes, spends approximately $4 billion in military aid to Israel. That money is used to murder children in Gaza. That money is used to fuel the genocide. How many more people need to die? Is there a specific threshold that we need to reach in order for us to say that this is an issue?
And you kind of wonder if this is something that's real or if it's something that is created, if it's propaganda. And you always have to do that with media, but the propaganda is on the side of the U.S. and is the United States and the Israeli government. And you have to wonder, with all the atrocities happening, when is it going to be enough? And I think that Noam Chomsky, he talked about this previously, and I think he brings up a good point.
This is the last phase of European colonization. The countries that are most strongly in support of Israel are not just the United States. It's the United States, Australia, and Canada, the offshoots of England, Anglosphere sometimes called. Unusual forms of imperialism. These are settler colonial societies, which the settlers came in, essentially eliminated the native population. It's very religious groups driven by Christian Zionism. Those are major cultural factors. If you look back at the internal record and declassified, the Joint Chiefs of Staff described Israel as the second largest military force in the region and a potential base for U.S. power in the region. At one point, Israel began to run out of munitions during the assault, despite the fact that it's armed to the teeth. The United States provided Israel with additional munitions through the Pentagon. These were U.S. munitions pre-positioned in Israel for eventual use by U.S. forces. One of many signs of how Israel is regarded as essentially a military offshoot of the United States. Very close intelligence relations that go way back. Many other.
And I think that's on point. This is literally, it's not something that's just, it's not something that's just, oh my God, how is this happening? This is literally part of a project. This is literally part of basically slowly genociding an entire population of people. there's a guy on Consciously over on TikTok, and he made a great point about that, about displacing human beings.
Hey, just out of curiosity, who taught y'all that because Jewish people are displaced, this justifies the killing and displacement of Palestinians? Who taught y'all this? Because here's the kicker right here. African-American people are also people without a land. We displaced people. Y'all wouldn't justify displacing or killing nobody to make sure black people in America got some land. And I recognize the reason why we can't be critical of Zionism in America is because the same logic that structures Zionism is the same logic that structures America. Is called settler colonialism. And according to Oxford, settler colonialism is the ongoing system of power that perpetuates the genocide and repression of indigenous peoples and cultures. Essentially, hegemonic and scope settler colonialism normalizes the continuous settler occupation, exploiting the lands and resources to which indigenous people have genealogical relationship. The Israelis is using the same tactics the American government did to delegitimize indigenous American peoples, to take their land and kill them off. Free Palestine. You mad? I don't care. Free Palestine.
So I have to be careful here. Anything that's got music behind it, I will get a not a violation, but a copyright strike, and I want to. So if you hear music coming up behind it, that's why. I'm trying to keep the words, but he's point on. Basically, and there, I watched some videos today of a few people that were talking about, they were interviewing people in Israel, and they were saying, just bomb them, just bomb them. It reminded me a lot of being in America, and when people would talk about Iran, just drop a nuke them all. And it's just like the disparity of that kind of attitude, and where people are basically living in one room. I'll play this from Commie Trucker on I got this from Commie Trucker on TikTok.
Something that every single family in Gaza does now. They all sleep at the same place at night. We all gather ourselves and sleep at the same place, at the same room. You know why? This is so pathetic to say and so sad to say, but I'm going to say it anyway, because we don't want to wake up like some of us are alive and the others are dead. If we are about to die, or if we are to die, we're to die all of us together. No one would ever have to live to mourn the other one.
How sad is that? They literally are sleeping in the same room together, so that when they die, they'll die together, and not one of them they'll either all be alive or all be dead. That's the state of this. And what is interesting, I think, is that you wouldn't know any of this if you were listening to American media. Reading this from The Hill, Israeli intel, the press secretary, Jen Psaki, declined to say whether President Biden had viewed intelligence that Israel government says it has shared with the United States justifying an airstrike targeting a building that housed the Associated Press in Gaza. So according to the Israelites, the Israeli government, the United States got intel, and they're sharing intel with the United States. The Jerusalem Post, citing Israeli officials, reported over the weekend that Israel shared intelligence showing that Hamas was operating out of the building hit in Gaza with an airstrike on Saturday. The building housed AP and Al Jazeera. Journalists were given short warning before the strike, and no one was harmed. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also said in an interview on Face the Nation that the Israeli government shared intelligence with the U.S. linking the building to Hamas. Now, if this is true, what's going on in Gaza right now is known and approved by the United States government. And we send billions. I was going to say hundreds of thousands, but it's billions. Almost close to $4 billion. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken told reporters in Denmark that the U.S. had asked for information on the strike, but he hadn't seen any information provided. So, I mean, and this is all, you have to read. Actually, this is something that politics in the 2000s taught me, is you have to scrutinize this shit because what they're saying is probably true. Sort of true. Let's read. However, Secretary of State Anthony Blinken told reporters in Denmark that the U.S. had asked for information on the strike, but that he hasn't seen it personally. That's called plausible deniability. And usually it was given for presidents, but now the Secretary of State is using it. This is, and like I said, this is all bullshit speak. It's a way to not tell the truth. He's not saying that the information wasn't given to the United States government. He's saying he hasn't seen it himself. So that he can have plausible deniability about seeing it himself. It's not even, it's worse than plausible deniability. It's word salad. So people will think, okay, so back in the old days, there was in my LGBT heyday, we would get organizations like the Human Rights Campaign would go in and capitalize on the work of state organizations by saying, we are really encouraged, and they would use all these words that would make you think that they had been doing the work, and they wouldn't mention the people that were actually doing the work on the ground. It would make them seem like that they were doing it on the ground when that wasn't really the case. And this is the same type of, it's very manufactured speech. While indicating that that intelligence information would have gone through different channels, Paskey suggested that it wouldn't be surprising for Blinken not to have seen such information without confirming or denying that it had been shared. At least the writer of this piece gets that what they're saying is a nuance, but the reality is it's nuanced to give the casual reader the impression that they didn't get the intelligence. The officer of the Director of National Intelligence, he declined to comment. And then President Biden just literally says a bunch of political speech that is, it's saying nothing. The president noted that the current period of conflict has tragically claimed the lives of Israeli and Palestinian children, civilians, including children, the White House said in a readout of the call on Saturday. He raised concerns about the safety and security of journalists and reinforced the need to ensure their protection. And then it says that Paskey on Monday repeatedly sidestepped questions about whether Biden thought Israelis' actions over the weekend were proportionate. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. She noted that the Biden administration is engaging in quiet and intensive diplomacy. This is to a country that you give $4 billion to. And you just gave $700 million in defense spending to, in arms. But you're being, why? Why? From the sound of this, quiet and intensive, it makes it sound like that they're trying to do this quietly. Why? You are in the driver's seat here. It sounds more like you don't want to politically pay the price for doing anything. That you're just going to talk. And this is exactly what the kind of bullshit Biden, okay, let me give you some context for this. This is from the BBC. Mr. Biden put the pedal to the metal when he was asked about Israel.
Mr. President!
This sucker's quick.
How's it drive? Mr. President, can I ask you a quick question on Israel before you drive away?
No, you
since
can't.
It's so important?
Not unless you get in front of the car as I step on it. I'm only teasing. Okay, here we go. You ready?
This is the shit that he was in Michigan for. And when he got off the plane, he said this to Rashida Tlaib about someone that has family. Tlaib is a United States Congresswoman. She has family in the West Bank. He said, I admire your intellect, I admire your passion, and I admire your concern for so many other people. It's from the heart. I pray that your grandmom and family are well. I promise you that I'm going to do everything I can to see that they are safe on the West Bank. You're a fighter, and God, thank you for being a fighter. Like, this is like Democrat version of thoughts and prayers. It doesn't give, hello Jamie J in the chat. It doesn't give any indication of anything that he's going to do. And he's just doing photo ops here.
Sir.
Just basically not saying a word. Just not saying a word. The president noted that the current period of conflict has tragically claimed the lives of Israel and Palestinian civilians, including children. Again, this is what he was saying, and it's ridiculous. Like, he is a bystander just watching this instead of someone that's getting intelligence from the Israeli government. It's just shit. The one thing that I do like is that Ocasio-Cortez is leading the effort to block the sale to Israel for $735 million in arms. They're not going to be able. It even says in the piece that they're not going to get anything done with this, but they are. She said, at a time when so many, including President Biden, support a ceasefire, we should not be sending direct attack weaponry to Prime Minister Netanyahu. And you know what's bullshit about that? It's bullshit because in the UN, they wanted to put forth a joint statement saying that there should be a ceasefire. Guess who made that statement not happen? there's a Security Council, and I don't know if you know how the UN works, but the Security Council is made up, I believe, of Russia, the United States, France, the UK, and China. And if any one of those say no, then the whole thing is kaput. Honestly, I think as far as the UN goes, America would never have this, but the UN Security Council should be done away with. And the people of every country should have a vote rather than there being a Security Council. So when these statements are put forward, and no one country should be able to, it should be a vote, a democratic vote. But Americans don't want that. Not in the UN. Anyways, the people that are putting forth this effort. One is Mark Pocan from the district in Wisconsin that includes Madison, where I'm from, and Ihan Elmar. I can't even say her name. Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Presley, Andre Carson from my home state of Indiana, or he's actually represents Indianapolis, and Rashida Tlaib, and there's a few other co-sponsors. You know, this isn't going to change anything, because basically I think what's going on right now is directed, I mean, it's clear, the Israelis have said as much, that they don't do anything without consulting the United States first. I had to laugh. It says public statements from the White House on calls between President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who have become increasingly more stern. He told Netanyahu he expects a significant de-escalation. Wink, wink. I mean, this is the guy that said if Israel didn't exist, we would have to create it. So, yeah. One of the things that did kind of and here we go. This statement here. The U.S. sends Israel $3.8 billion a year in military aid. The U.S. just approved of $735 million in weapons for Israel among its massacre of civilians in Gaza. The U.S. has now blocked 3 international ceasefire attempts. This is a U.S.-funded genocide. I would go even further. I would say this is a U.S.-led genocide, because, as the Israelis are saying, they don't go forward with this without giving America intelligence. So essentially, this is American-led. Hello, David, in the chat, and Jamie J, Gamey Gay. It's on a lighter topic. I wanted to. I wanted to talk about one more thing when it comes to this. This is a piece that's on Al Jazeera. It says, before the attacks, these towers were some of the very few locations in the blockade enclave that enjoyed relatively uninterrupted services. in particular electricity sourced by their own generators. As a result, they attracted hundreds of families as residents and were hosting not only numerous media offices, but several local businesses, law firms, medical labs, and civil society organizations. Also serving as a cultural and social hub, they were central to the daily lives of many Gazan youths. As a result of the bombings, Gaza lost a key piece of its social and perhaps most crucially, media infrastructure. Israel gave the journalists working at the Al Jazeera Tower just 1 hour to evacuate their offices, forcing them to abandon much of their archives and equipment to be destroyed alongside the building. The bombing of the Al Jazeera Tower drew criticism from international organizations, rights groups, and several governments, including those of Israel's allies. The Israeli military claimed that the tower housed Hamas military intelligence assets and therefore constituted a legitimate target. However, as recently admitted by the United States Secretary Anthony Blinken, who routinely defends Israel's actions, Tel Aviv has so far not released any evidence supporting these allegations. And once again, as that reporter said, they'll say they're coming through with evidence, but they never produce it. The Associated Press also strongly denied that Hamas was active in the building. So they just pretty much do whatever the fuck they want. Now, I want to kind of move this up a little bit. I'm moving things around a little bit because there were some leftists that were talking about what AOC is doing, and I thought it was really important to talk about this. This really kind of pissed me off, actually.
Here's what I meant when I said AOC's politics are overly based in morality and need more scientific theory. Morality is good, it's important, and it's necessary in politics. But it doesn't substitute for a systematic understanding of capitalism and imperialism, which is necessary if you're going to be leading the charge against those things. Because morality can be manipulated. For example, AOC and Bernie Sanders supporting regime change in Venezuela. This is because if they were to speak out against the coup attempts or sanctions that are killing Venezuelan people, they would be smeared as immoral, as dictator defenders who don't care about human rights. But if Bernie and AOC had a systematic understanding of imperialism and the history of the U.S., they would know the U.S. just wants Venezuela's oil and would hopefully take a principled stance against imperialism. But since they're going off the base of morality rather than the principle of anti-imperialism, you get mixed results. Sometimes AOC's posing with the Bolivian coup leaders. Sometimes she's calling out Israel for being an apartheid state. Theory is like the base of a ship and morals are the sails. This is what I meant when I said AOC's politics are overly based in morality and need more scientific theory.
I 100%
This is someone that's actually talking about this post.
agree with this, and liberals and Democrats base their morals and ethics on a Western standard. That's why people...
I think this is a very, very, very naive take. Very naive take. And what it doesn't take into effect, what it doesn't reflect on is that politics is different than you have an offense, you have a defense, you have a job to do as a politician, and a lot of that is based on controlling a narrative. And the narrative in the United States, there's a lot of things that go into that. You can't just say that AOC is doing this because somehow her morals aren't based in some kind of leftist theory, that's absurd. It doesn't have anything to do with morals. It has to do with political analysis, and how you can't just decide as a politician. Bernie Sanders and AOC are being politicians. They're not moralists. They aren't pastors. They aren't making... They are... Yeah, exactly, David. She's a politician. She works within the system. And, you could sit there and say that that's bad or good or what, or horrible or whatever, but it's the reality. It has nothing to do with theory.
People who label themselves as communists get deemed as immoral and unethical a lot, because the Western standard is not as moral and ethical as they think it is. And like he said, you see a lot of inconsistencies within politicians who base their political stance on the Western standards of moral and ethics.
And that's where I think there's a mistake in this conversation. This isn't about morals. It's not about ethics. It's about political realities.
Now, you also see these inconsistencies a lot within the left when it comes to gun control. People on the left who support gun control are basing that opinion solely on their morals and ethics.
See, and I think that's bullshit. I think that's bullshit. And I'll get into in a minute why I think that's bullshit.
They're not basing it on their education and understanding of socioeconomic issues. That's why whenever there's a mass shooting and someone like me comes out and still does not support gun control, I get labeled as immoral and unethical. But I'm basing my opinion on my education, not my emotions.
See, and I think that's shit, frankly. I mean, I live in a country that has gun control. You don't have mass shootings here. They don't have mass shootings in Australia and Canada. So, and this leftist dream like that, oh, we're going to have guns. I mean, that's just as absurd as the January 6th protesters at the Capitol. We're going to 1776. How is this any different? Do you think people that literally have fucking the machinery of war against people, against populations of people, are going to be afraid of the fucking AR-15 that you bought at fucking Walmart? It's absurd. And I don't... Saying, as Jamie J says, the state is never going to sanction the sale of arms used in opposition to itself. So, I mean, being for gun rights, I can understand it from living in America. But I don't think that in terms of being free or... America is the least... It's the country that's least going to have a revolution. Not the most obvious country. Americans don't even get out on the street and protest. It's absurd. I mean, you want to talk about changing government and having effective protests. Look at the French. Americans, it's not going to happen. Leftists are. There's not going to be a revolt where leftists just... that's as absurd as the right wing saying it. And that's not educational. It's not based on any kind of intellectual... this is not based on any kind of intellectual footing. It's not a nuanced footing at all. I generally like this person's content, but I disagree with this vehemently.
I'm not saying that you need to completely remove your morals from your political opinion, but what I believe that Eddie and I both are saying is that it can't be solely based on your morals. That's when you get into complicated territory, and that's when you start making decisions that might not necessarily be based in reality.
See, and that's why I think this is naive. This is a naive take, because basically what they're saying is that liberals are based in feelings, not facts. And that if you just read the Communist Manifesto and understood communist theory, that you would start a revolution tomorrow. Or that somehow AOC would foment the coming of the communist revolution. And that's just absurd.
Like I said in my last video, a good example of this is gun control. I think that most people with morals similar to mine don't think that innocent people should be dying in mass shootings. If we were to base our opinions solely on morals in this situation, of course the solution would be to ban all guns. I mean, guns are the things that people are using to kill all these innocent people. But that's just not the case. And when you start becoming educated on the subject, it's pretty obvious that the solution is not to ban all guns, even though that seems immoral.
How? That's what I want to know, is how. The solution, I'm sorry, but I live in a country where there's very little gun crime. Now, do I think it's impossible at this point? Because you have people that will fetishize guns to the point of it's an illness, I think. That's the only way that I can think about it, and I don't think that it's possible to remove guns from Americans in a way that is going to fundamentally change the fact that there are mass shootings, because you're not going to get rid of guns that basically can fire a massive amount of rounds in a short amount of time. So, anyways, I just think that this hot take isn't very hot. I think it's pretty lukewarm, and it's naive as fuck. It's just naive. Jamie says somebody should tell her how revolutionaries got their guns in every real revolution that ever happened, because it didn't happen because the people, because it didn't really happen in the real world, because the people bought them from the bourgeoisie with the sanction of the state. I just when people say stuff like this, I just want to know, how does it work? If you're educated, you know, this education doesn't manifest in fucking praxis. Where's your revolution? David Skog in the chat says realism is a very big thing that is absent from a lot of leftist discourse, and it's all fucking theory, man. That's all some of these people. They remind me of debate bros. They think they're doing something. Oh, I've got 15 million subscribers, and I have a Patreon where I'm making $500,000 a year. It's like Sargon. He goes out and gets absolutely hammered in the European elections. He basically destroyed what was left of UKIP. He was known as the rape tweet guy. I mean, he's still got a pretty fairly big audience, and it still doesn't do anything. That's what it kills me about Vosh and when people talk about Vosh or Destiny, they think they're actually doing something, and they're not. If they get 15 million subscribers, if those 15 million subscribers don't do anything, it's like the tree in the woods. If it falls over and no one's there to hear it, it doesn't make a sound. It's just absurd. And the fact that people don't have an idea of the political realities that people like AOC have to deal with. Now, I don't think AOC is the answer, but these people are putting it out there like, oh, if she would just understand. David Skog in the chat says 1,000 people with guns is no match for the modern state. Doesn't matter if it's left or right. 1,000 intelligent people with guns, however, ... Well, that's the thing. To be honest with you, it wouldn't even take guns. I think if you look at the terrorism that happened in 2001, there were no guns involved. And look how that disrupted things. You know? So this whole thing on theory, it's just I hate it. I hate it because the one thing that the Black Panthers showed is that praxis is the most important thing. And the American government knew that too when they basically destroyed the Black Panthers from the inside out. But anyways, you won't believe. We're going to switch topics here, but you won't believe what is happening next to white guys.
Oh no. What a tragedy that would be.
So Joe Rogan is saying giving in to the woke mob will result in straight white men not being allowed to talk. And I thought this was fucking.
You can't make this up. Joe Rogan says that white men won't be able to talk because of woke culture. Shout out to Emma for this tweet. She says that Joe Rogan made this comments about straight white men not being able to talk due to woke culture on his podcast, which was acquired by Spotify in $100 million deal. You know, she goes on to say that this has 11 million listeners per episode that lets them talk about literally anything. And at this point, how a lot of y'all are attacking what y'all call quote unquote woke culture, it shows me that you want my people to stay sleep.
I thought that was so right on the money. So right on the money. Oh, do we have somebody? Oh, what did I just do? Oh. Hello.
Well, hello there.
This here is my son, Nick.
Hey, guys.
So have you been listening to the show?
I just jumped in. I caught the tail end of us ranting about Joe Rogan, I'm guessing.
So what do you think about that? Like him literally saying that Joe Rogan is not going to be able to speak because if we listen to woke politics, that he's going to be silenced. And you as a white cisgender male, do you feel like you're going to be silenced by woke politics?
Absolutely. Just so silenced. Like the most silent I've never been. No, absolutely not. I literally caught the tail end of us talking about 9/11 and how guns were literally not even used in one of the biggest terrorist attacks, probably, I mean, definitely in U.S. history, but.
Well, and yeah, I thought that was, do you remember that at all?
Vaguely, I was real little. I mean, I was 11, so I was so young that, you know, a lot of people that are a little older than me have memories of like watching it happen, but they wouldn't show us anything. I remember they sat us all in the gym and we knew some craziness was going down, but even when they told us, it was like, what do you mean? What's a terrorist attack? But then later seeing the actual planes hitting the buildings, that was insane. As an 11-year-old, you're like, planes don't do that. Like, how do planes even do that? I didn't know you could do that with a plane.
Well, and from what I remember at the time, it literally stopped like all plane traffic. It stopped basically the country for a week or 2 weeks. Just everything pretty much came to a standstill. Can you imagine if somebody within the United States did something like that, that had nothing to do with that was from the inside? Like, literally, you wouldn't have to do something that is like amassing an army of guns, you know? It's so dumb.
Yeah, I don't even know that. Well, I don't want to say that because as soon as I say that, it would be almost somebody would prove me wrong. But yeah, nuts, absolutely nuts. And the fact that there were no guns involved, right? Like, literally shut down a country with, I mean, what was it? A box knife?
Yeah. Yep. Took over 3 planes, 2 which hit their targets, basically. With box knives, yeah. And that just goes to show you, I mean, it's if you believe in revolution, you're going to find a way to make it happen. But that being said, you're not going to go down to fucking Walmart and buy a gun so you can protect your freedom. As a leftist, it just sounds just as fucking crazy as it does when someone from the alt-right says it.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But isn't that part of the whole value in saying it, is it sounds so crazy? And everybody loves Walmart on that side of the aisle. So if you can throw Walmart in there, it's almost guaranteed to go over well.
Well, the whole thing with Joe Rogan, let me see if I can actually...
Well, while you're doing that, I'll be honest. I know I've heard the name Joe Rogan, and I know that our political views don't align, but I really don't know anything about Joe Rogan at all. For good reason, because I don't care. I don't want to know.
That's probably because you're gay. But
I am?
I hate to tell you this.
Do you, though?
Well, I think you told me one time, you said, Dad, I found out this weekend I'm really, really gay.
Not surprised that that happened at all. I have no recollection of that exact conversation, but I would not argue with you that that's how that went. That's probably verbatim, a quote, I would imagine.
But Joe Rogan basically has the #1 rated podcast in the world. Spotify just bought the rights to his podcast for $100 million, I believe. And
so you're going to stop using Spotify, hopefully?
Well, that's a good question. I get it for free, so I'm not really using it. Although that might push me over to Apple. Apple Music, even though I can't stand it. But
I love it.
Why? But anyways, regardless of that, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, consciously said that Spotify basically has bought his entire catalog, and like this guy has the largest podcast platform in the world. Really, he on all platforms he is the #1 podcaster.
It's because he shops at Walmart.
Well, that could be. But he loves saying the N-word.
Ugh.
Jamie says, "Don't use Spotify. Pirate your music like an adult." so I want to put Nick back up here. So tell the audience the story of our shared music.
Well, let's just say this is a completely fictional tale about pirating music that we would never do. We would never pirate music. It's illegal. So we would never do that. But fictionally, there was a point in time where LimeWire was the go-to source for music. And we had, at the time, this was a long time ago, right? I would have been in high school. So 15 to 12 years ago, we had what was then the most incredibly huge, like the biggest drive that you could possibly, like the most space you could have. We had a terabyte drive that was just chocked full. I mean, at that point, we weren't even using LimeWire anymore. We were downloading entire discographies, not even just albums. It wasn't like, oh, I like the song, I'm going to download this one album. It was, I like this song, I'm going to download everything that artist has ever done in the history of all time. So we had so much music, and then somebody, who shall not be named, got a MacBook. And in the excitement of this new MacBook, decided to plug in the terabyte drive to the MacBook, and got that lovely question that you always get when you plug something into a MacBook that has been previously used with a PC. Would you like to format this drive? And how the answer to that question was yes, I will never understand, but the answer was yes, and we lost all our music in one failed click.
Yeah, I did that.
Which in retrospect, like whatever, because now we all stream music and who cares? But at the time, it was like my soul was ripped out of my chest and put through a paper shredder.
Actually, the thing that we used for that, this was, are you able to see that?
SoulSeek?
Yeah, that's exactly what hypothetically.
Fictionally.
Yeah, fictionally, that you could use to download entire discographies of David Bowie, of Queen, of It was like even you would even get like not just you'd get like all the bootleg stuff as well, not just
all of it. Yeah. Anything that had ever been recorded and put out, even if it was just on one single mixtape, you could find it.
Yeah. And I deleted it all.
All of it, every bit.
To be fair, I did get about 40 gigabytes back. Yeah. I recovered some of it.
And you did send me some of it. I actually still have all of those bootlegged files that you recovered on an old iPod. I have it on an old iPhone. And then I also have it all stored in like an old, used to be a Google Music account, but you can't have those anymore. So they changed it to YouTube Music. So I have a bunch of pirated music uploaded to my YouTube Music.
Well, hypothetically, hypothetically.
Yeah, fictionally.
You know what you could do? Apple Music has I think it's called Match.
Oh, probably, but whatever. Who cares? I've been with Apple Music for so long that I'm sure I found most of it anyway.
Well, the thing that it does is you can upload your that entire 40 gigs worth of hypothetical music, and literally it will match them, and then you will have them in your Apple Music.
Yeah, well, I'm afraid to do that because then they'll see all of the music that I never downloaded illegally.
Well, and
it's a trap.
And you'll see all the angsty shit that you used to listen to.
Yeah, that's real true. I don't need to be going back down that rabbit hole. Every now and then a song pops up in some type of capacity. Yesterday it happened, actually. Somebody posted this stupid meme, and it was like, oh, it was the astrological signs as music from like my high school years. It was so, I never needed to see that.
What was it? There was a band that used to listen to a lot. What was it called? Coheed and Cambria?
Coheed and Cambria. I still listen to Coheed and Cambria. I love I can't remember which album it is, but it's one of my favorites. I'm not so embarrassed about that one. It's more the like Senses Fail, Screamo, The Used. The stuff that in retrospect, it really sounds terrible.
Well, it kind of went with your
my aesthetic.
Totally. I'm not trying to go on Google Photos right now and pull up.
Do not. I have made all of those private on my. I'm the only person that can see anything prior to 2000 and I don't know, probably 16.
Really?
Yeah, it's all hidden. I hid all of it. Every post, everything that came out of my mouth, all of it is completely hidden to just me.
Oh, well, how about this?
Oh, I love it.
I can't help myself.
I know.
That's the kind of oh, I need this one. This is the kind of thing that I have on that drive.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. I'm sure you have almost a terabyte of those lined up and ready to go for any given situation.
Fragile crackers.
I see some good merch options there.
Yeah, unfortunately, they're not mine.
I know, right?
But yeah, you used to have quite the what would it be like? Emo? What would you consider it? Like emo?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, pretty much. I ran around in nothing but black t-shirts that were too big and way too much eyeliner and the craziest, most awful hair you could possibly imagine.
I can't find any. Did you like delete it on my account as well? Jesus Christ.
I don't think I well, if they're in Google Photos, I'm sure you have them somewhere, but they're clearly not meant to be shared. That's what Google is telling you right now. Don't do it.
You don't want me sharing that?
There she is. There she is.
Hey, there's a picture with Chaz.
The demon spawn. We're totally getting off topic here. This show is going to go on forever. I'm kind of sad I can't see any of the comments anybody's got going on. So if anybody's talking smack right now, I can't read it.
How about that one?
Oh God. Hopefully nobody's pause game is real good.
That's actually one of the better ones, though. So.
Oh, you're real close to the ones with the Pop-Tarts too. I can tell.
I'm not showing them though.
Yeah, I know. I figured that was coming next, though. Those were bad.
I can't believe this is how long I've been doing this shit.
Oh God, I don't even know where that is. That's downtown, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But that I was doing a show then. You could see my mics.
Lord.
This shit comes natural. But yeah, so I'm going back to the chat. Let's see. Jamie J in the chat. Oh, David Skog says, allegedly I have 300 CD-ROMs of pirated MP3s in a basement in an undisclosed location.
Hopefully someday in the future, all of that stuff is like worth tons of money. All of the pirated music that we stole.
Jamie J in the chat says Apple Music just got done taking down Little Nas X's in Montero for being too sexual, but somehow Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines is still fine by them.
Excuse me? That song better still be in my playlist.
Well, you know what? Do you remember Robin Thicke's Blurred Lines?
Yeah, of course.
That song is literally about consent and like it's quasi. Well, it's about rape essentially, non-consensual. About consent being blurred lines, and that's okay. But somehow Nas X. Are you looking to see if you can find it?
Yeah, it's still here. Thank God. It's my jam. I listen to it like 3 times a day.
Well, Jamie J also said. Jamie J also said, "I record every stream. Somebody is getting frames dumped."
Oh, lovely. Well, they already exist in your Google Photos account. I know they exist in mine, so it's only a matter of time, I suppose.
Oh, apparently this was Little Nas X saying that it was being removed on Twitter. David said, "I haven't even listened to about 10% of the music that he has. It's more a principle, especially post Napster." Yeah, I mean that's kind of what it was for me too. I felt like, because the weird thing is like literally from the time I was like 15 to even now, like have you bought an album ever?
Oh, of course.
What was the last album that you? No, I don't mean digitally.
Yeah, I know. I buy vinyl all the time.
How much is it?
It depends, right? Like if I'm buying new vinyl, it's like $25, depending on. Usually, like a re-release of something is like $25. But then, I mean, you go into an old record store. It depends. I mean, if they think it's worth something, they can charge $50 for it.
But guess how much I paid for an LP in 1985?
How much? $5.
$20.
20?
$20. The price has not changed in all that time.
Well, and you know the cost to produce those things has gone so far down. They're a lot cheaper quality now, though.
At the entire time that the whole thing has been a big sham. That's why I didn't feel bad about downloading all that music.
Right, because they've gotten so much out of you. Well, I mean, that's kind of why I like streaming now, right? Like you get my $10 and that $10 goes to whoever gets the most plays. I think that's pretty fair. I like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I think because I wonder how much. I mean, I know in streaming services That's the one thing I do like about Tidal, even though I don't have it, is literally it's the artists that are getting it's owned by artists.
Right.
You know? I mean, and it was built by artists. So Jamie said, I like giving musicians money, food, and drugs, then pirating their music.
Oh, there's just something about the thrill of pirating music. Can't be bought.
Well, it can be deleted, though. We found that.
Yes, it definitely can be. So I see where Lil Nas X posted that, but according to an article I just found, there's no official comments from Lil Nas X or any of the streaming services that the song is being removed. Some people are having issues accessing the song. So,
I'm curious. I'm gonna just pull this out and throw it at you, but because I did talk about the Palestinian stuff.
Oh, I missed that. Damn.
I did talk about that before. I was just curious, living in America, how because I feel like I honestly I feel like that all this is American led, because almost $4 billion a year goes into Israeli defense, and literally I posted this. I've taken it down now, but basically where in the Hill they said the Israelis said that they got they shared intelligence with the White House, and I feel like they know what's going on. They know that Israeli intelligence, and they're okay with it. It's not like, but I just wonder from an American aspect how you feel like the media is treating this in terms of fairness.
It's always interesting to hear somebody talk about, to hear it come up in a news segment or something, you know, when listening to NPR, even when it's on the radio. Certain phrasings kind of make me uncomfortable, you know, when I don't know a whole lot about the situation, right? It's very new to me. This new recent flare-up has been the first time that I've really even delved into it, and I haven't even delved into it that far. I know it happened, it kind of blew up in 2014, it blew up pretty bad. But back then I wasn't really paying attention to politics at all. But it's disgusting. I mean, as an American, it disgusts me that I literally spend, like, they literally take money out of my paychecks and ship it off to another government for that government to basically steal land from people, like murder their children. I don't know. It's gross. It's a horrible, weird feeling. And seeing the, like, on Facebook, seeing the banner around somebody's profile picture that says, "I stand with Israel always." I don't know how that makes me feel. Like, you really stand by them murdering children? I can't get behind that at all.
Well, and I think a lot of that comes from religious people. Don't you think that it's mostly because, I mean, Christians have this kind of almost like fetishization when it comes to Israelis. They don't care about, they just want Jesus to come back, and the Jews are a part of that. They're God's chosen people. But if you read what happens in Revelations, it's not good for the Israeli people. You know? But, so, I mean, so much of so much of people supporting Israel basically has to do with the Bible in America, it seems like. Because you're right, if you see the stuff that's happening, and literally, Americans can't afford health care, but they can send bombs over to kill essentially brown bodies.
Yeah. Well, and you get into the whole, reproductive rights side of it, right? Like, it's totally against your religion for a woman to choose to have an abortion, but we can spend money on blowing up children in another country. Who cares about, those kids?
Yeah, now
because
that they're
brown babies.
And they're born. They're out of the uterus. They're free.
Yep.
Free game.
Well, and it's just one more like nail in the coffin of as soon as a baby is born, they don't give two shits on what happens to that kid. As long as it's born. Once it's born, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Throw it in the dumpster.
Well, and that's just it. It's yours to take care of. Don't suck off the government.
Good luck.
We want to force you to have it and then tell you not to suck off the government. It's just when people are like that with abortion, but yeah, it is ironic coming from, but irony's never been something that I think Christians care about.
No, I mean, their whole premise is ironic, right? Like Jesus said, love everybody unless. Well.
Oh, I have something for this.
Of course you do.
I want to share it because it's funny as shit. So, this is about.
You could have a face-to-face conversation today with Jesus. What is the one thing that you would want to say?
Your dad's kind of a dick. He made the rules, told everybody, hey, have a good old time, but don't eat from this tree of knowledge. If you do, you're going to burn in hell. Again, he made the rules. And then when they kept on sinning, what did he do? He sent you. He sent you to clean up his mess. He sent you, and he didn't even let your penis get touched first. And then the audacity of letting you get nailed to a tree. Don't even get me started with that. And then you still went back? I don't know, dude. I don't know. I would have kept hanging out with Mary. That's just me. Are you okay? You doing all right? Modern Christianity is stupid.
The audacity. It's so true, though. It's so true.
Oh my God! Now, God damn it! I'm trying to get. There we go. Get you back up there. Yes.
Agreed.
The Jesus made me do it. Oh my God! That reminds me too. There used to be this bit that this black comedian did. His name was Flip Wilson. He used to do this bit that was the devil made me do it. And basically he blamed everything on the devil. The devil told his character Geraldine to buy this dress. Blames everything on the devil. But yeah. Oh, and here's another one I did want to play while you're on here. This is about gay people, by the way.
What does LGBTQ plus mean? Like, is it the premium version of gay?
I'm pretty sure the plus means like others.
Gay premium. I saw that and almost peed my pants laughing. It was pretty irrational how funny I find that. It's so true, though.
It's the premium version, and you have to pay for it.
All right, it costs extra.
You have to get a subscription.
That kid has a future. That's for sure.
I thought this was interesting too. Did you? Okay, so I'm gonna have to show you guys something because you are probably way too young. But there used to be this show, and it was literally called Silver Spoons. And basically, it was this family here, and this is Ricky Schroeder, but it was basically about this kid that fucking had everything. Silver spoon, so he was a child actor, blah, blah, blah. He's led a pretty charmed life. Somebody that's never had to work a day in their life, really. And so he went through various movies and stuff like that. But he got married in 92 and was divorced in 2016. And in 2019, he was arrested twice for suspicion of domestic violence. In 2020, he was a major contributor to the $2 million bail fund for Kyle Rittenhouse. Yep. And then this month, he created a controversy with a video that he uploaded to social media that showed him harass Costco employees regarding the company's policy and the state of California mandate requiring face masks to be worn inside the stores. Shortly after the incident, Schroeder began receiving backlash, causing him to upload a second video apologizing to the employee, stating that while he stood by his beliefs, he regretted hurting the employee's feelings. And this is a video. This is a video from that.
So by now, I'm pretty sure you all heard about this video that went viral of the child actor harassing this Costco employee about wearing a mask. He was harassed by child actor Rick Schroeder. Also, don't forget, this is the same man who put up all that money for Kyle Rittenhouse bail. He said it's important to back the blue so we don't become militarized, and said he felt safer in the 80s. My guy, there was literally a crime spike in the 80s, but back then he was consuming all your right-wing fear media. He then says black people are being used by socialism and Marxism. Kind of like those old images where those people who were protesting race mixing called it communism. He also said the U.S. could fall like Rhodesia and become a place where whites live in fear. And as this tweet mentions, praise for Rhodesia is straight out of the white nationalist playbook, which is why Dylann Roof wore the Rhodesian flag. And there's a whole history of white supremacists being upset that they lost power there. This tweet mentions that the blue line flag is a symbol of anti-blackness, which is why multiple police stations have now banned it. I pinned all this info on my Twitter.
I just thought that was so fucking apropos that somebody that had been on a show called Silver Spoons.
Right? Like, what a turd.
The epitome of whiteness is to think that the 80s were some golden time where there was no crime.
And I love that he points out, like, there was literally a crime spike. Like, didn't the crack epidemics, like, start in the 80s?
By the way, some random geek in the chat said, sorry I'm late, I was actually working. Yeah, we've been slaving over...
I'm clearly working too, and I made it, so I don't know about that excuse.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So the end of the world is coming. No, seriously, it is.
Gender pronouns are the end of America.
Yeah, boys!
Oh, I love her. She needs a talk show. Hands down, she is the new Oprah.
Oh, God, I love Ryan Starr. She's awesome. But I thought that was funny. Gender pronouns. People get so worked up about it.
Yeah. So we were actually having this conversation the other day at work. I don't get worked up about gender pronouns at all. Do not get me wrong.
Wait. I want to tell a story first.
Oh God, I know where you're going with this.
Well, I just thought it was this. You're atypical when it comes to this, because when Nick was in, how stereotypical is this? When Nick was in choir, show choir.
It wasn't show choir. Only girls could be in show choir. I was in concert choir, and it was competitive. And then we also did madrigals where we ran around in tights and capes and feathered hats and sang Christmas carols at old folks' homes.
But Nick introduced me to his what was she called? She wasn't a leader. She was
the choral director.
Okay, choral director. Introduced me and said, "This is my dad. She's awesome." So I think you've always kind of understood, you've had a people your age have a nuanced view of gender pronouns, and especially the people that have had trans people in their lives.
Yeah, well, that's where I get it from, I think. And I did struggle like at the very beginning, right? Like screaming dad in the middle of Walmart, right? Which could have potentially been a dangerous, and it's funny now, but at the time it wasn't funny. And as soon as you told me about it, I realized how not funny it was and how dangerous it was. We were on the south side of Indianapolis. Like that could have gotten us literally killed.
Yeah, it's not the most tolerant place that you could ever be.
Not by any stretch of the imagination, but it took time. But even now I still struggle, and I'm actively working on it. And I don't know why it's such a thing in my head, but I have trouble with they, them. I really do. It like sticks in my mouth almost. It's so hard for me. But then I think about like when you're talking about something like the mailman, if you don't know if the mailman is a guy or a girl, you're going to say, if somebody says, was the mailman here? You'd be like, oh yeah, they were here an hour ago. And it's so easy and natural. But then somebody says, hey, my pronouns are they and them. And then every time it just sticks. I don't know why. I don't know where that comes from. And it's only they, them. That's it. It's the only one.
Well, and I think that Jamie J in the chat says, we all have postmodern perspectives on gender and are horny for latex. The Matrix did this to our generation. You can thank two trans women for that. I do think it's funny when people will talk about right wingers will talk about being red pilled. Whenever they use that kind of language, I want to always remind them that the Matrix is where they get that from, and it's two trans women that they get their narrative from.
Irony again, like these people really need to learn about it. Learn about it.
Yeah, I just don't think they care.
They just make it so easy though.
Jonathan said, I have a friend in the north side of Indiana and confirmed. Yeah, unfortunately. Some random geek says the red pill is estrogen. Maybe that's why some of them become soy boys.
So is the blue pill, right? Just different doses of estrogen.
Oh dear. Let me see what else I got left.
Did you make it through all of the topics before I got here?
No. I found this interesting too. This is about TikTok.
Hello and welcome to the beginning of the end of TikTok. So if you've been messing around with the settings lately, you may have noticed this fun and funky little button. This little flame down here. That is the new promote feature, where you can let TikTok know that you would like either more video views or more website visits or more followers. And then you can set up a campaign, which of course will require you to pay for these things. And lovely prices too. You can get 65 coins for 99 cents, 330 for $5, 1321, which is a random number, for $20, 3303, again random, for $50, 07 for $100. And if we check back on the previous slide, the estimated improved views for if I were to pay to promote this video are only about 4,000 more views for over $20. So yeah, if you notice that your views are being throttled pretty heavily lately, it's probably not a coinky dink.
So I see that, but you know what? That's the same thing as Facebook.
Exactly. And we deal with this Facebook ads. It's the same thing with any type of advertising online. Even, I will tell you, Indeed, right? So not even social media. It's a job board, right? If you want to get your listing, your job listing in front of more people, you have to pay. And the way it works is you pay for clicks. You don't pay for actual applications. So you could we spent $50 boosting one job post for 5 days. So $10 a day. I got 4 applications. I spent $50 and got 4 applications. It's garbage. It's garbage. But it also, I don't think it's going to mean the end of TikTok, because it was only a matter of time before they tried to monetize that. But it's still not going to beat out quality content. I really don't think it will.
Well, I tend to think, I've said this on the show before, I tend to think this is how they monetize. Algorithms are not a way to showcase the best content. It's the content that gets paid for.
Yeah, well, they're in the business of making money. They're not in the business of sharing content, right? Sharing content is a byproduct of making money to them.
Well, that's when you have people like, I've talked about it on the show before, but people like Philosophy Tube or ContraPoints or what is his name? You kids would probably know. What's his name? Paul. Is it J. Paul or something like that? Anyways, YouTube stars.
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, I think.
The fighter. I don't know. I don't get down on that. I'm not that young.
Those kind of things are created by the YouTube Logan Paul. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Those things are a creation of YouTube, not YouTube. They didn't come to YouTube and just granularly make their way up.
Right.
You know, they got traction, and you get traction by paying for it, essentially.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's literally capitalism at its finest. You cannot make money without spending money.
I don't know if that's fine, but yeah, it is capitalism.
I'm not answering that.
I want to. Hello, you're on the air.
Hello and welcome to the beginning of the end of TikTok.
The single most important fact that allies can internalize is that good allyship necessarily entails some sacrifice and discomfort on your part. If you've been having a grand old time and have sacrificed nothing as an ally, please carefully consider the possibility that you ain't actually done shit.
I like that. Yeah, but I have BLM on my icon on Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm even guilty of it. But yeah, I posted a black square one time on Instagram. Okay.
Jonathan's saying that my volume is too low. That's a first.
Well, yeah, usually you're right up against the mic.
Yes, I love having the mic right against my face.
Do you sleep with it like that?
Yeah, I'd have to be elevated these days. Anyways, Nick, we've been talking about doing this for a while, and I'm glad to finally have you on the show, and I definitely want to make this a regular thing.
I definitely agree. We should get it on the calendar. We can do it once a month. It'll be awesome. And next time I will research topics before I jump in and be on time. Maybe.
All right. Well, I will let you get back to work.
Beautiful. I better go answer that phone before somebody sends us a bag of dog shit in the mail.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Nick.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right.
Look forward to next time.
I love you. Talk to you
Love
later.
you too. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, Jamie, I have a big mouth, but oh dear, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. Oh wait, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it right. Hey, oh, where'd I go? Baby Jesus is sad. Why can't I see myself? Well, boo. Anyways, I wanted to make that happen. I could probably do it by doing it. No. Yeah, to be honest with you, I have been struggling. I think it's because every time I come on here, I don't touch the settings, but things change. I'm just like my meters on the stream coming in from Restream show 1 meter, and then I have another meter on the Roadcaster on OBS, so it's like fuck. I can't tell what's what. I need a producer is what I need. Somebody that's actually listening to the stream. But if you want to see that happen, you can go to patreon.com/Marty Abernathy, just like my patrons. Could be Nicholas was just too loud. He is my son, so. It's in the genes. I do look forward to having him on the show, though. He's something else. I tried not to show too many pictures because I do have some really funny ones, but he's a really good person, and even I'll tell you more than I should, but I don't have a relationship with my mom. In fact, let's see if I can open this in a tab and then pull it over. This is what I put on Facebook. Come on, you can come over here. Mom, you should have put me up for adoption. I'd have been better off. Because this is one of those. It says, remembering you is easy. I do it every day. Missing you is the heartache that never goes away. And I'm just like, because, yeah, my mom is a big liar and lied to me about who my dad was. And yeah, and on Facebook, one of my friends, Carol, said, wish you had the unconditional love we were raised with. Girl, I'll share the love with you. And I joke about it now, but like I truly believe that I would have been better off if I had been put up for adoption. But I don't like my mom at all. I don't think she's a good person. And if she had been somebody that I just met, I wouldn't want to know her. I don't like who she is as a person. I mean, there's just so much of that. But Nick is just the opposite. He is one of the most genuine people, and I'm proud of him. He came out when he was 13, and he did it in a way it was just like, F you, I'm gay. And when he realized he was gay, He said, "I'm gay and get over it." When he went to prom, somebody chastised him for kissing his boyfriend. And he was like, "Look around. There's a bunch of people here kissing, and the one that you're focusing in is on me." So he's always been really strong in who he is. And I love that about him. And I'm proud of him. So, anyways. Look. Looking on the Twitters. There's there's a guy that bought a bookshop in Gaza. He said, "I stopped eating so I could afford to open the bookshop." He owned the largest bookstore in Gaza, and it's just destroyed. But it's fucked up. Anyways, be happy with what you have and the people that you have in your life, because nothing is a given. Not a day, not nothing's a given. But yeah, David says I should be proud, and I am very proud of him. He is one of the best people that I know. Let's see, did we get to everything that I wanted to get to tonight? I think we did. So I can put that in the folder there. I still haven't decided when I'm going to do the Patreon stream. Because to be honest with you, I don't want to do something that I think what I'm going to do here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it on Sunday, but I'm going to do it after Social Justice Alchemy. So when Social Justice Alchemy is off, then we'll go live, and hopefully we'll have some people join us. Jamie J is and the reason why I'm even questioning this is because normally I would do it on this weekend, but I have to work. I have to work overnight, so I don't want to do it early on Saturday, because I don't want to rush going to work and that stuff. When I work night shifts, I need to get a lot of sleep, so I can do it on Sunday. But I'll do it after Social Justice Alchemy. Well, David said that's a bold move. I don't know if it's a bold move. It may be a stupid move, but we'll make it work. But yeah, so I plan on having, like I said, Nick's going to be on the show probably once a month. Some random geek said we can keep SJA short. Good luck on that. But so I'm going to have Nick on once a month and a Patreon stream. So that leaves two other Saturdays, and then the Wednesday shows. But I do want to mess around with my format and have more people on in the future. At some point, I do want to have interviews more prominently, but it's just a matter of when I feel comfortable doing that. I did a interview early on. I did an interview on this channel and it didn't work out. I started it too early and it just taught me that I need to have my technical stuff down before I do anything else. So, anyways, I am going to leave the chat up here for the next about 5-10 minutes. But if you want to help out, by the way, don't forget.
Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when we go live.
Yeah, don't forget to do that. But also, if you want to support mutual aid to people, go to charitylinks.page. That's charitylinks.page. Help people out. And if you want to hang out with a bunch of anarchists, dirty commies! Oh my God, I just realized I need to get a sound. I need to get the sound of Trump saying, some of them are anarchists. Oh God. But come over to Social Justice Alchemy. You'll see Tom McDonald and John and some random geek and Leto. They have lots of fun. What they don't have is this. Only I have that.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for her, Johnny?
Anyways. Yeah, join me. Next show, like I said, it'll be Sunday after Social Justice Alchemy. We'll do the Patreon show, and then I shouldn't even say that. Yes. We will follow the regular schedule the following week. I just have my calendar open. I am working a night shift, but not on Saturday. I might be a little sleepy, so we can figure that out. Anyways, I hate night shifts. I hate them. But thank you guys for showing up. I loved that Nick was on the show tonight, and I look forward to having more shows with him on. And I'll give him a rundown of the topics so we can have a more informed discussion on it. Nick's not an anarchist, but that could change with time. his politics have definitely gotten a bit different over the years, so we'll see. Maybe Jonathan can do his work on Nick the same way he tries on. What is it? Propaganda is on Steve. Agitprop. I think it's more agit than prop. Especially in Steve's case. But anyways, have a good night, everybody.